First, we're going to take the base apart. Flip it over so you can access all the hardware. First things first, get your driver, make sure you have the right bit, and start unscrewing every screw one by one. Once you've gotten all the plates unscrewed, go ahead and take them out and keep up with your bolts. Put them in your handy dandy little box. Now unscrew the plates and do the same thing. Keep up with your screws. Just don't unscrew that thin plate in the middle so you can keep the wood together. Then just one by one, slide all of the wooden pieces apart from each other and set them aside. Now we're going to put the base back together. Put each side down and line the numbers up. 4 goes to 4, 3 goes to 3, 2 goes to 2, 1 goes to 1, 5, 5, 6, 6. You get it. Make sure everything is slid in tightly and squared up, snug it up so everything fits in together and all the holes line up when you start putting the plates on. The bottom orientation of the metal plates does not matter. You can put either on either side, put it any orientation. Go ahead and set all your screws in. Don't tighten any down yet. As you tighten down, kind of like a tire, go one side, then the other side. Do that on both, and then screw all the plates in, all the screws in, so you know everything fits snug. Now for the plates that keep the whole crate together. They are numbered. 1 goes on top of 1. 2 goes on top of 2. 6 goes on top of 6. 3 goes on top of 3. 4 on 4. 5 on 5. Again, put all your bolts in before you tighten anything down. Do the same thing you did on the big plates. Tighten one on one side, one on the other side before you tighten them all down to make sure everything lines up and you have a little wiggle room. Now it's time to put the top together. Just like the bottom, slide the pieces, the wooden pieces on, and all the numbers should align. See the 3 with the 3 and the 2 with the 2, all the way around. Also, same as the bottom, make sure everything is snug. Pull it together so all the screws fit. When you're assembling 5, put the plates on each side. Again, 5 goes with 5, 6 goes with 6. Only screw down by hand. Do not tighten any of the bolts yet. Go ahead and set that in the middle. Line up all of your holes. And then, again, hand tighten all of the bolts. Same with these plates. They're all numbered. They all go on top of the corresponding number. I cannot stress it enough. Only screw in by hand first. Now for the top plates. This orientation does matter. As you'll see, there are numbers that correspond. 3 goes next to 3, 6 goes next to 6, and it shows you which side needs to be up. All of the numbers go together so you can be absolutely sure that they are orientated correctly. Then hand screw in these bolts too. These bolts are different than the bolts that go on the plates, so just make sure you have the pan head on the large metal plates and the hex head on the small support plates. A small note, all of these bolts screw down easily, so if you have to force it, the threads aren't lined up and something's a little off. Now we're going to disassemble this thing. As you undo the bolts, make sure you put everything in that box. There are a lot of bolts to lose, so it'll help keep up with them. Undo the plates, set them aside. And when you undo these bolts, make sure you keep 5 and 6, those middle plates, on. Otherwise, that wooden piece will fall straight through. As you undo the plates, again, put them in your box. Now we're going to set this display up. We've included 2 handles to make it so much easier to move it around. Once you get it where you need it, just slide them right out. As you're unscrewing these brackets in the middle, if they're fighting you and there's a lot of tension, the crate is likely out of square, so just move it around. Keep up with these. You're going to use them to put the sidewalls on. So once you straighten out the whole display, you're going to use those bolts and then screw in the sidewalls. Now for the countertops. They just slide right on. There's no attachment hardware or anything, and the orientation is kind of only goes one way. Make sure you have those middle support beams out as you put them on so they can stay up. After you get them on, you might have to adjust them a little bit. And then you put the backsplashes on. They slide right in, line everything up, and they'll help keep the countertops together and level. Voila, you have a beautiful countertop. Each backsplash and countertop is labeled, so you should know which goes which in case you get confused. Take all of those crate pieces and slide them right underneath your display so no one knows they're there. Now we're going to disassemble and pack this sucker up. Take those bolts that you had. Remember, keep them off to the side because you'll need them for the crate. Those sidewalls fit nicely in the crate underneath everything. Once you get them in there, protect them with a blanket so when everything goes on top, you don't damage anything. Fold the crate up and make sure it's square so those brackets will fit nicely inside. If they don't fit, then it just needs to be squared up a little bit. Handy dandy handles. Make sure they're on the opposite sides of where the bracket is. Makes it a little more stable for transportation. Next is the triangle pieces. Everything will go in the center of these to keep everything together so there's not much shifting during transport. The countertops go in first, directly in the middle. The end pieces go in back to back, face to face, and then the middle pieces go on the inside of them. This is important for space. You're going to want to put a blanket on top of it, especially on the corners, so if it does wiggle in transport, you don't bang up all the corners. Secure your backsplash pieces in some kind of blanket or protection, again, for transportation in case there's any shifting. First, on both sides of the countertops, you'll put in the metal display bars. Then the backsplashes will go on top of those on either side. Once you have everything in there, you put the flaps up, bungee them down real tight, and it should be nice and sturdy. All the extra things go in on either side. Your backdrop banner, your Tupperware of goodies, your box, all that should fit just fine in there. And then you want to strap it up. Make sure everything's nice and tight and you have the straps on both sides so everything's good for transport.